The Zylian prided themselves on being the most advanced civilization in the known universe. Their crystalline bodies sparkled with internal bioluminescence as they floated through their pristine cities, suspended in the clouds of their homeworld. They had mastered quantum mechanics before most species had figured out basic arithmetic. Their technology was so advanced that they considered faster-than-light travel about as impressive as learning to tie shoelaces. But for all their superiority and achievements, there was one universal law that even the mighty Zylian followed without question. Don't wake the humans. It wasn't that humans were particularly scary, at least not at first glance. They were rather unimpressive biological entities who had barely managed interstellar travel before their great hibernation. The story said they had collectively decided to enter cryosleep sometime during their Third World War, when their planet's resources were nearly depleted. Entire colonies of humans now floated through space in massive ships, sleeping away the yaum, centuries while their automated systems kept them alive. No one really knew why the rule existed. It had been passed down through generations, translated into thousands of languages and enforced by every spacefaring civilization. The galactic archives contained countless warnings, all saying the same thing. Let them sleep. Chief Science Officer, Seath brushed his crystalline appendages against the control panel of his research vessel, bringing up the holographic display of the latest human colony ship they'd discovered. His crew maintained a respectful distance, as per protocol. The ship was ancient by their standards, practically an antique, yet something about it made his crystals vibrate with unease. Fascinating creatures, he mused aloud, his voice resonating through his crystalline form. They look so peaceful when they sleep. Hard to believe they're the reason for our most sacred rule. If only he knew how right he was to be nervous. It was supposed to be a routine scan. That's what Zeth would later tell the emergency council, his crystalline form dimmed with shame. Just a standard analysis of the human ship's outer hull. Nothing invasive, nothing dangerous. But his junior researcher, Zyx, had other ideas. Fresh, out of the Galactic Academy with top honors and enough confidence to fill a solar system, Zyx had been fascinated by human biology since their first encounter with the colony ship. Their scans had revealed something peculiar about the cryogenic systems, an efficiency that defied their advanced understanding of thermodynamics. Just a small probe, Zyx had insisted, their crystalline structure vibrating with excitement. We won't even touch the humans, think of the scientific implications. Zeth should have known better. The moment they activated the probe, something changed. The ancient human ship, which had been dormant for centuries, suddenly hummed to life. Warning signals blared across their research vessel's monitors. What did you do? Zyrtie's voice crackled with panic, his usually melodious tones shattering into discordant frequencies. Nothing. I might have... Zyx stammered. The probe's quantum signature must have resonated with their cryogenic field. Zyx's form had lost all its luster, turning nearly transparent with fear. On their main view screen, pods began activating one by one, like stars appearing in an evening sky, thousands of them. The ship's ancient systems, far from being primitive, executed a flawless awakening sequence that their sensors could barely track. Emergency transmission to High Command. Zyx barked, his crystals now pulsing with anxiety patterns. Code Ultraviolet, I repeat, Code Ultraviolet. Human awakening in progress in Sector 7. The response was immediate. Within moments, their small research vessel was surrounded by a fleet of Zylian warships, their crystalline hulls forming a containment pattern around the human vessel. The High Commander herself appeared on their screen, her ancient form a deep purple with rage. You absolute neutron stars for brains, she bellowed, using an insult so old it predated faster-than-light travel. Do you have any idea what you've done? The humans were supposed to sleep for at least another millennium. High Commander, Zyth began, perhaps we could put them back to... An alert cut him off. The human ship was powering up its ancient engines. Systems that shouldn't have worked were coming online with terrifying efficiency, and their scans detected brainwave patterns indicating the humans were not just awake. They were angry. Too late. The High Commander's voice dropped to a whisper. They're awake. May the First Light have mercy on us all. In the following moments of chaos, as emergency protocols were enacted and evacuation orders were given, Zix turned to Zahiye with what would become the understatement of the millennium. I don't suppose this will look good on my performance review. The human ship's communication systems crackled to life, broadcasting on all frequencies in a language not heard in centuries. The message was short, clear, and would soon become infamous throughout the galaxy. Who dares disturb our slumber? The Zylian diplomatic corps prided itself on handling first contact situations with impeccable grace. They had smoothed over wars, prevented genocides, and once talked a hive mind out of converting an entire galaxy into paperclips. But nothing in their extensive training had prepared them for dealing with grumpy humans who had just been rudely awakened from their cosmic nap. Ambassador Crystal, a name chosen specifically because humans supposedly appreciated literal translations, led the delegation. Her crystalline form was polished to perfection, refracting light in the most aesthetically pleasing patterns according to 16 different species beauty standards. Remember, she briefed her team, we must be diplomatic, respectful, and above all apologetic. We've disturbed their rest, how bad could it be? The answer, as it turned out, was very bad indeed. The human ship had allowed them to dock, which the diplomatic team took as a positive sign. They really shouldn't have. The moment they floated through the airlock, they were met by a group of humans in what appeared to be sleeping attire, clutching cups of something that their senses identified as coffee, a substance that was immediately classified as a potential chemical weapon. So, drawled the human leader, dark circles under their eyes and hair sticking up in directions that defied several laws of physics. You're the ones who thought it would be fun to wake up several million humans before their alarm went off. Most esteemed humans, Ambassador Crystal began her carefully prepared speech, her form glittering with practiced sincerity. On behalf of the Galactic Alliance, we extend our deepest— Save it, Sparkles, the human interrupted, taking a long sip of their coffee. Do you know how long it took us to synchronize our sleep schedules? Do you have any idea how hard it is to get several million people to agree on nap time? The diplomatic team exchanged nervous glances, their crystalline forms flickering with uncertainty. This was not in the manual. We have prepared extensive reparations, another diplomat chimed in, including the latest in comfort technology, dream enhancement devices, and— The human leader snorted. Actually snorted, causing the entire diplomatic team to vibrate with alarm. Oh, that's rich. You think you can just give us some fancy pillows and we'll go back to sleep? Have you ever tried to get back to sleep after being woken up? It's impossible. Things went downhill from there. The humans, it seemed, had opinions about being woken up. Many, many opinions, and they wanted to share all of them, preferably at high volume. The situation reached its peak when one human discovered that their favorite snack, something called pizza, had gone extinct during their slumber. The resulting tantrum caused 3 diplomatic assistants to crack and 1 to temporarily lose their crystalline coherence. This is unprecedented, Ambassador Crystal transmitted privately to High Command. They're not attempting to destroy us. They're not even threatening war. They're just complaining, endlessly, about everything. The humans had begun organizing what they called a town hall meeting to discuss their grievances. The very concept sent shivers through the diplomatic corps, millions of grumpy, recently awakened humans all gathering to voice their complaints simultaneously. We have to do something, Crystal pleaded with her superiors. They're talking about forming committees. But it was too late. The humans had discovered that their favorite entertainment platforms were no longer operational. The phrase Netflix and chill was thrown around with increasing hostility. Someone mentioned something called social media withdrawal, and the diplomatic team's universal translators nearly overloaded trying to convey the full emotional weight of that concept. In a final desperate attempt at peace, Ambassador Crystal offered the humans control of several resort planets where they could chill until they felt ready to sleep again. The human leader's response would be recorded in diplomatic archives as the shortest and most terrifying rejection ever received. Bold of you to assume we'll ever feel ready to sleep again. Now, about those extinct pizza recipes. The Galactic Alliance would soon learn that an awakened human with a grudge was bad enough. An awakened human with a grudge and no access to their favorite comfort foods was nothing short of a cosmic catastrophe. The real trouble began when the humans finally got around to checking their emails, or rather, the quantum encrypted messages that had accumulated during their centuries-long nap. The Zylian High Council watched in horror as humanity's collective mood shifted from mild irritation to something far more concerning. Amusement. Let me get this straight, the human leader said, now on their 15th cup of coffee, addressing the emergency session of the Galactic Alliance. While we were sleeping, you all convinced yourselves that we went into cryosleep because we ran out of resources. The High Commander's crystalline form dimmed slightly. According to our historical records, "Oh, this is precious," another human interrupted, actually wiping tears from their eyes. They really don't know. The truth, as it turned out, was far more ridiculous than anything the Galactic Alliance had imagined. The humans hadn't gone into cryo because they were running out of resources. They'd done it because they were bored. We'd solved pretty much everything, the human leader explained, scrolling through ancient mission logs with increasing glee. Clean energy, world peace, universal health care, faster-than-light travel. We even figured out why kids love Cinnamon Toast Crunch. There was nothing left to do. The galactic archives were quickly revealed to be hilariously incorrect. Those primitive-looking ships, camouflage, the seemingly simple cryogenic pods, actually quantum consciousness storage devices that made Zylian technology look like two rocks being banged together. The humans hadn't been sleeping. They'd been running universe-scale simulations, processing quantum calculations that would make a supercomputer cry, and apparently binge-watching every possible variation of reality TV that could ever exist. But the warning, Ambassador Crystal stammered. The rule about never waking humans. Oh, that? A human scientist grinned, looking far too pleased with themselves. We wrote that. Scattered it across the galaxy. Best prank ever. The revelation hit the Galactic Alliance like a supernova. The humans hadn't been some endangered species that needed protection. They were essentially cosmic teenagers who had decided to take a nap and set an elaborate out-of-office message. True extent of human capabilities began to unfold. While sleeping, they had mapped every possible timeline in the universe, solved the question of whether hot dogs were sandwiches, though they refused to share the answer, claiming some things should remain mysterious. Developed a unified theory of everything, then decided it was kind of boring and developed several more interesting ones. Created and abandoned 17 different types of social media platforms in their simulated environments, deeming them too emotionally draining. Figured out why socks always disappear in the laundry. Again, they're keeping this one to themselves. The Zylian scientists who examined the humans' supposedly primitive systems had to be treated for shock when they realized they weren't looking at technology. They were looking at art projects. Human children had made them while their parents were catching up on some Z's. But why? The High Commander asked, their crystalline form practically vibrating with confusion. Why pretend to be a sleeping civilization? Have you ever tried being the most advanced species in the galaxy? The human leader countered. It's exhausting, everyone always coming to you with their problems, asking for technology, wanting you to solve their existential crises. We just wanted a break. The final blow to the Galactic Alliance's collective ego came when they discovered that humans had actually achieved their advanced state of development before most other species had invented the wheel. They'd just been watching everyone else develop, occasionally leaving helpful anonymous tips like, have you tried pointing the rocket the other way? Maybe don't. Mix those chemicals? Think of it like a cosmic gap year, one human explained to the increasingly distressed council. Except instead of backpacking across Europe, we decided to take a few centuries off and let everyone else have a go at running things. The High Commander's final report to the Galactic Alliance summed up the situation perfectly. We have not been protecting a sleeping, primitive species. We have been unknowingly participating in the universe's longest-running social experiment. And now the experimenters are awake, caffeinated, and expressing interest in what they call catching up on current events. May whatever gods you believe in have mercy on us all. In the archives of the Zylaxian Science Academy, Zyx's infamous probe incident would be reclassified from greatest scientific catastrophe to most successful wake-up call in history, though no one was quite sure whether that was an improvement. The shift in galactic power dynamics happened faster than a quantum hiccup. One moment, the Zylaxians were the undisputed masters of the known universe. The next, they were watching humans reorganize entire star systems because the feng shui was all wrong. You can't just move a solar system. High Commander Christos protested, their form flickering with distress as they watched humans casually relocating celestial bodies. "Watch us," replied the human leader, now sporting a bathrobe and bunny slippers, while orchestrating the movement of entire star clusters. Induce existential dread was now being repurposed into guided mindfulness sessions. "Feel the void," one of them intoned to a group of students sitting cross-legged on anti-gravity cushions. "Now gently release your attachment to corporeal form, and breathe." Even Ambassador Crystal had to admit, though never out loud, that the humans' methods, while unconventional, were startlingly effective. Conflicts that had raged for centuries were now resolved through interpretive dance-offs, trivia nights, and something called laser tag diplomacy. The humans continued to remodel the galaxy with reckless abandon and contagious enthusiasm. Planetary alignments were adjusted for better skyline aesthetics. Wormholes were rebranded as cosmic shortcuts. Galactic news networks were replaced. With curated playlists and meme digests, the universal economy, once based on resource extraction and trade routes, had shifted to a barter system of ideas, vibes, and handcrafted artisanal snacks. Perhaps the most telling transformation came during the first annual Universal Chill Day, a new holiday that required everyone to stop whatever they were doing and do something relaxing. Attendance was mandatory. Resistance was met with gift baskets, noise-canceling headphones, and soothing ambient playlists. It was chaos, but it was cozy chaos. And so the galaxy moved forward, not under a banner of conquest or cold efficiency, but beneath a glowing neon sign that read, "Welcome to the Chillaxy. Please remove your stress before boarding." Zith leaned back in his seat at the newly refurbished Universal Community Center, sipping a beverage called a pumpkin spice nebula. He watched a group of humans and void crawlers preparing for karaoke night. Ambassador Crystal floated past, now sporting a surprisingly tasteful sash of sequins and a holographic mood ring. "Do you think we made a mistake?" she asked quietly. Zith shook his crystalline head, sparkling with contentment. "No. I think we just misunderstood the mission." He raised his mug in a toast toward the human leader, still in bunny slippers now, coordinating interstellar traffic with a playlist of lo-fi beats and whale song. "To the humans," Zith said. Ambassador Crystal sighed, then clinked her mug against his. "To the humans," she agreed. "The galaxy's most unpredictable, infuriating, accidentally enlightened agents of entropy and peace. This is an absolute delight. A cosmic satire wrapped in bathrobes, caffeine, and nap metaphysics. You've managed to capture that rare tone that's both hilarious and weirdly profound. It reads like Douglas Adams had a spa day with Terry Pratchett and then took a nap in the Hitchhiker's Guide break room. If you're looking to shape this into a full short story or a serialized web piece, it's already got everything going for it. Tone, whimsical, satirical, and punchy. Characters, lovably ridiculous humans and bewildered, brilliant alien straight men. Structure, solid narrative arc, from The Great Awakening to The Great Snooze sequel. If you're naming this cosmic comedy, here are some title ideas that lean into the absurdity and charm. Galactic Napcoms Do Not Disturb, Humans Sleeping. Universal Snooze Button, Napocalypse Now, Chronicles of Chill, The Humans Awaken. Please stand by. Humanity will be with you. Shortly. Coffee, Chaos, and Cosmic Control. Caffeinated. Diplomacy. Bathrobes and starships. Protocols are just suggestions. The galaxy's longest break room. Meta and meaningful. Sometimes everyone just needs a nap. Waking the universe to help it dream. Instructions. Left on the fridge. Bonus idea. Serial format. This would kill as a weekly web serial, newsletter, or episodic podcast, like Welcome to Night Vale meets Mass Effect if Shepard. Just wanted brunch. You already have the framework for Season 1, Episode 1, Zix's Big Mistake. Episode 2, Humanity Unleashed Episode 3, Meme Wars and Karaoke. Diplomacy, Episode 4, Galactic Chill Zone. Episode 5, The Return of the Snooze.